Welcome to another Raising Reef video. In this episode we're looking at refugiums. What are they? How do they benefit a reef system? And why would I choose one over other filtration methods? The first question, what is a refugium, is simple. At its basic level, a refugium is any area outside of your main display that provides refuge for creatures and organisms that would otherwise struggle to live free from predation within the display itself. So any area of your sump, your overflow box or your weir can do this to some degree. But a reef tank refugium is so much more than this. So a dedicated area of the sump set up as a refugium can offer this refuge, but it can also provide an opportunity to maximise its efficiency by providing space for a deep sandbed, a place to put extra live rock, growing macroalgae, or a combination of all of these. A refugium can offer a sustainable and natural source of filtration that will have more benefits than any single other element that you can add to your reef system. If set up correctly, a refugium can offer the benefits of controlling nutrients by absorbing phosphates and nitrates, can stabilise the pH in the water column, and other benefits come in the form of a continuous and sustainable supply of pods and other zooplankton to feed your tank with a natural source of nutrition. If, however, you don't feel you have the space to set up a refugium in your sump, there are a couple of other options available to you. One is a remote refugium. This is a separate tank set up alongside your main display in your sump, where you can feed water from your display in and drain it back out again and grow the macroalgae in there. Very much like the setup I have on this current system. If an extra tank connected to your system doesn't appeal, then the other option that you have is to run an algae reactor. Algae reactors have become very popular recently. Everybody seems to be bringing out their own model. And basically it's much like any other freestanding reactor, except it has a light through the middle which will grow the algae internally. Its ability to grow pods and other zooplankton is limited by its design, so I still think that a proper refugium has far more benefits than this system alone. It will, however, grow the macroalgae consuming nutrients and help to reduce nitrates and phosphates, and if reverse lit to your main display, can offer the stabilisation of the pH also. But in my opinion, I think it's the most expensive option available to you. Including a sandbed in your refugium can provide the environment suitable for sand-dwelling creatures such as worms that may be getting decimated by the inhabitants of your main display. These creatures can live quite happily within the sandbed of the refugium. They can breed, they can feed, and they can reproduce, and they will spawn into the water, creating an abundance of varied nutritional zooplankton that will be continuously fed back to your main display, adding another dimension to your refugium that can be the key to a more natural, healthier reef. There are a few different ways of setting up a refugium in a sump. Some people say you should skim the water first and then have it feed through the refugium. Other people will say they're quite happy to have the refugium first and then skim the water after. There are different advantages to using each of these methods, and you will need to decide for yourself which will best suit your needs. If you skim the water first and then have the refugium after, any zooplankton or pod life that then feeds out of the refugium will get directed directly through the rest of the sump and up to the display tank without being skimmed out. The disadvantage with this is that the skimmer section will tend to be deeper, and then you will have to elevate the skimmer out of it in order for it to work properly. So you will generally have to stand it on a little shelf to get the right depth in the skimmer so that you can have a decent amount of water within the refugium. If you have the refugium first, you can set this baffle as high as you like, maximising the area for the refugium, and then you can have the second section where the skimmer is already set and you don't have to worry about elevating the skimmer out. You can also, if you have the refugium in the first section, use the concentrated flow from your downpipe to help to tumble that macroalgae around, and this will help to shake loose any detritus and keep it a bit fresher. So there are advantages to both. I personally now prefer to put my refugium first, and use that tumbling and the water depth advantage of having that. And then I have my skimmer next. Although it will remove some of the pod life and zooplankton out of the water as it passes through that section of the sump, I don't think it will capture all of it, so I'm happy to do it that way. The third method I will talk about is a split sump, where you will have the refugium section at one end and you will have the skimmer section at the other with your return pump in the middle. You will split your drain line into two, and you will put 25% of the water through the refugium, and then you will put the other 75% through the skimmer section. They will both converge into the return section, and the return pump will refeed the tank. The advantage of doing it this way is you get the advantage of both sides. You can set the skimmer in the right depth of water, and you can have the refugium as tall as you like. All of the pod life and zooplankton created in this refugium drains directly into the return section, and therefore none of it is lost. Although it may seem like the best solution, if you are converting a current setup to this method, it may prove to be the most effort involved. Generally will require you to replumb the tank, and you may have to remove the baffles and start from scratch. All of these designs will work and prove successful. You just need to decide which one will best suit you. Lighting a refugium is a topic all of its own, and there are specific lights on the market designed to grow macroalgae. I've never found the need to delve too far into this, as I've always had good success using any light I had to hand, from an LED energy saving light bulb that I would use in my house through to a coral grow light. But it stands to reason the more specific the spectrum is for growing algae, the better the light will perform. And this seems to be somewhere between the white and red end of the spectrum. So that about covers it. I hope you have a better understanding of what a refugium is and how it can benefit your reef system. If you're still unconvinced, there is just one more point to make, and that's the cost of running a refugium. You will need to provide a light, but this can be done relatively cheaply, and macroalgae can be easily sourced by local hobbyists. Anyone using a refugium is likely to be harvesting macroalgae on a regular basis and quite possibly chucking it away. So if you ask on your local forum or Facebook group and say, I'm after a bit of algae, there's going to be probably 10 people not far away from you that have some available. And once you have the light and the algae and the space dedicated to your refugium, you're set. It's one of the cheapest methods of filtration to set up, and the algae will consume nutrients, grow, and you will harvest it out, and you are physically removing those nutrients from your system, and you will be taking advantage of all of the benefits that come along with it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll consider using a refugium in your system if you don't already. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one. As always, take it easy guys, and I'll see you in the next video.